Hey guys, my name's Doug with Infotainment.com. Today I want to share with you guys an exciting new upgrade that we've been working on for over a year. This here is the Uconnect 5 system for the 2018 through 2023 Jeep Wrangler JL and the 2020 through 2023 Jeep Gladiator JT. So you can theoretically now plug and play using all factory parts, upgrade from your existing Uconnect system up to the latest and greatest Uconnect 5. Now, what are some of the advantages of Uconnect 5? There's a wide array of different advantages, including wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So when you get into your Jeep, it connects immediately without having to fool with cords. It's an amazing feature. Also, a long list of other really cool upgrades as we'll list here. Now this upgrade includes a 10.1 inch high definition screen. We do offer them in two different finishes. This is the matte black finish and the piano black. So in the 2024 and newer Wranglers and Gladiators, they went with a piano black. So we wanted to give that as an option for folks with the 18 to 23 JL and 2020 through 2023 Gladiator JT. As you can see, there's not a lot to install. Again, using factory OEM parts, you have the Uconnect 5 module here, you have plug and play wiring here, and then your choice between the two different 10.1 inch high resolution touchscreen displays. So here at Infotainment.com, we pre-program all of our upgrades to your exact Jeep. So we'll need your 17-digit VIN number so you don't lose any factory features. So whether you have the UAA radio, which is a 5-inch display, you have the UAG radio, which is a 7-inch display, or the UAQ radio, which is an 8.4-inch display, we will send you the exact kit for your vehicle so it's fully plug and play. So without further ado, let's cut over to Chris and show you how easy it is to install this upgrade.
All right, so where we're going to start before we jump into the vehicle is some very light assembly of our parts here. We have the radio module bracket and our radio module. You can see there's some studs sticking out of here and you have some holes here. This is just going to line up, slide down and tighten down. You cannot get this in the wrong way. The studs are in a different position, so it'll only go in one way. And when you're getting it down, there's a corner up here. You're just going to have to flex that bracket around so it sits flat on there. And then we supply some nuts that you can go ahead and snug this down with. Get this snug down. It doesn't have to be crazy wrenched or anything. The next thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna get our harness prepared. So basically, this is not going to require any programming. We use a GenieX module. You're going to receive a harness that has a connection that goes from the main harness, the radio harness, into the harness that's going to power your screen. And if any one of these connectors has like a pigtail on it, just like this one, you're just going to remove those pigtails, connect your harness, and then connect your module. And basically, this is going to go to your screen. This is going to go to the radio, and the rest of the stuff's just going to be tucked behind your dash. And then lastly, we have the screen bracket with some screws, and we're going to go with the matte black version here. So basically, the wider portion of the screen is going to be at the bottom. Set that in. You're going to line your holes up right about there, and then install the 4 screws. And with these, I'm going to use a regular Phillips screwdriver. I'm not going to use any power tools. These just need to be snugged down. All right, 4 screws are snugged. So at the end of the day, this is what you're going to want to have before you jump into the vehicle. Everything is assembled, the harness is put together. It'll make for a much easier install when you get into the vehicle. All right, so we're in the Jeep here. This is gonna be the same for the JL and the JT. Down here on your left-hand side next to your push to start button, you have your knee bolster panel. This is gonna be the first part that we're gonna pop down. And you can just pull that inside lip down, pop that clip out, and that's basically all you have to do from there. That'll give you a little lip to pull your whole climate control with push to start button out. That'll just pull straight back towards you. And I'll go ahead and get this unplugged just so I can set it aside. Now that that's out of the way, we have access to the two 7mm or Phillips screws that is below our radio screen. Now the radio bezel is just held in with a bunch of retaining clips going around. We'll get that popped out, just pulling towards you, and we can set this aside. We're not going to use that anymore, as well as this radio. Once we pull this out, we're not going to use this anymore either. We'll pop our radio down, and we'll get all these plugs unplugged here. Your radio plug has this lever style connector. Once you depress that button on the side, push that lever up, and that'll push the connector out of its place. All right, set that aside. All right, so now I have my harness here. This is gonna be the first thing that I'm gonna put in on this main harness. We'll get this slid in. Make sure this lever is in the outward position when you slide the new plug in there. And as you press that clip down, you'll see it just kind of sink in. And you don't have a ton of room behind this radio, so I'm gonna start to kind of push this back in there, as well as the new module that you have here. We're gonna get this kind of pushed in here. And what you wanna kind of have hanging out is your radio module plugs, and this is your screen power. So we want those things kind of sitting there ready for us. The next plug we're gonna grab is for the USB. We include this adapter. We'll get that plugged in. Now we're ready for our radio module. So on the back of the radio module, you have a whole bunch of plugs here. Down here, bottom left, we do include some antennas to attach. So we'll get that plugged in. And then right next to it, this is your screen video feed. So we'll get the straight side plugged into the radio module. The other side has a angle to it. That's deliberate. I want to make sure that that one stays out. We'll just go ahead and plug in the plugs that we have for our radio module here. And some of you guys may not have a blue or teal colored connector here. This may be a curry colored one. If yours is curry, we do have an adapter to adapt it to the blue. You would plug the blue into there, and this end would go into the curry color connector. But since ours is blue, we don't have to worry about that. It'll plug right in. Now we got all of our connections done. The ones that we want hanging out is the screen power and the screen video feed. All the rest we can keep kind of tucked in there. And this radio is kind of a tight fit in here, both in depth and in left and right. So you just want to make sure you got all your plugs kind of pushed out of the way there. And that's pretty much how it's going to sit. Once you have it lined up with your holes, you're going to put the 4 OEM screws back in. All right, you can see we have quite a bit of excess of this LVDS cable here, so let's get this tucked in there. We don't need a ton of it coming out of there, just enough to plug into that screen comfortably. Then we'll get our screen plugged in. All right, so we have our screen here. Now you can see why the angled connector was very important. If you had that straight one on here, it'd be extremely tight when you go and clip your screen into place. So make sure that that angled connector is the one that you're putting in the screen. And we get our power in there. And now we're basically just gonna spin it up. It's gonna clip in like factory. Just like that. And then we can put the 2 screws back in on the bottom. Now we'll get our climate control plugged in. Our push button start plugged back in. And we can slide this back into place. That'll clip in, and then the very last thing you want to do is that bottom left clip. Get that snapped back in, and that's basically it. Pretty easy install.
All right, guys, now that everything's installed, let's go ahead and fire it up and check it out. So as you can see right away, you do have the awesome animation of Jeep in the startup screen. This here is the Uconnect 5 profile, so you can go ahead and get started to set up your profile. You can have one for driver 1 and one for driver 2, so let's just say your spouse wants settings a little bit different. All they have to do is select their profile, and then everything changes. So whether it's radio presets or the way that your side mirrors are set up or whatever the case may be, that would be through the Uconnect profile. So here on the home screen, you have different pages. You can set these up and move them around. These are all through the Uconnect 5 widgets. So a really cool feature here. This is new. This is the latest and greatest technology for Jeep, which has won many awards through the infotainment systems. You'll really love the layout. To retrieve, let's just say you want to go to the radio, you could just select that particular icon. It brings you right to it, adversely to the built-in GPS navigation through TomTom. So that's just something there with the home screen. If you go to media first, you notice right off the bat, you have your FM. You can tune to obviously any station you'd like. These do have built-in HD radio, so if you don't have that feature now, you will get it. So it's at a bunch of an additional FM radio stations, and it's nice and crisp and clear, the audio. Sirius XM, we are in a garage, so what I'll do is I'll pull out here shortly and I'll show you guys how Sirius XM works, and it does have Bluetooth streaming. Within the comfort, depending on what your settings are, whether you have a manual temperature control or automatic temperature control, it will show here. If you have dual zone, obviously you'll have your 2 sliders. You'll be able to select your dash vents, so on and so forth from that display. As I mentioned, it does have built-in GPS navigation. This GPS navigation through TomTom is privy to just the Uconnect 5 system as opposed to the older Uconnect systems. It is awesome. You do have the pinch to zoom. The points of interest are obviously all updated. It is an amazing GPS navigation system that is embedded into the radio itself. As you can see, CarPlay, I am not tethered with any sort of USB. It just comes up immediately when you get in the vehicle. So super convenient, and the same thing would be with Android Auto. But you get access to all of your apps right here. Google Maps, as an example, gives you the satellite view if it's set up that way. You have Spotify. All your favorite apps come wirelessly as soon as you get in the vehicle. It's amazing. Within the vehicle section, you do have, those of you who have off-road pages will retain that, so you can launch it there. I'll give you a quick look at that. The accessory gauges. You do have the control, so if you want to manually turn on your backup camera, and then your settings. So through all of this menu here, you have all the different settings. Again, the system is pre-programmed to your exact Jeep. So if you have blind spot monitoring, parking sensors, any of that stuff, that is all customizable, and you will not lose those features here through the settings menu. Down in applications, you could drag and drop some of these down to your home row here. You can use these to, as an example, go in and adjust, again, some of your settings, which I showed earlier. You do also have other things like your USB and so on and so forth. So a lot of these you can save as favorites, or you can drag and drop those down into your home row. All right, as I mentioned, it does have the built-in Sirius XM tuner. Once you get the system, if you want to take advantage of the Sirius XM, you just go to the Sirius XM icon within media, and then you go to subscribe. It will give you a radio ID, and then you just subscribe to that. But once you do, you're gonna love Sirius XM on the Uconnect 5 system. It gives you a wide array of different station identification, album art, so on and so forth. I think you guys will love it. As I mentioned before, the system comes 100% pre-programmed for your exact Jeep. So your steering wheel controls will work, your wireless Bluetooth, your backup camera. You're also going to notice you have a nice big 10-inch display now, and crystal clear, again, HD screen, so it makes backing up just that much easier. All right, guys, as you can see, such an awesome upgrade for your JL or JT Jeep. Again, using factory OEM parts, you're gonna get the reliability that the factory, that Jeep insisted for their Wranglers and Gladiators, as opposed to a lot of the aftermarket systems out there online. So a couple things I wanted to bring to your attention. Number one, we do have a buyback program through our tradein.infotainment.com. You may be able to get cash back for the factory radio that's in your Jeep presently. Another thing I wanted to mention is our extended warranties. We do offer up to a 3-year extended warranty on all of our parts. I also wanted to mention that we do offer full factory radio repair, not just for Jeep, but also for the big three, your General Motors, all the Chrysler Group, and Ford as well. So in the event something maybe goes wrong in the future, we service what we sell, so you'll be taken care of. Finally, we do offer upgrades like this for several different manufacturers. Again, not just for Jeep, all the big three, including Toyota. So come check us out at infotainment.com. Thanks for watching.